Call is now being recorded.
Okay, so once again, good afternoon. So today we'll discuss about the experiment number 5 or assignment number 5 based on the industrial engineering. So the name of that particular experiment here I have given, that is pinboard study experiment. Okay, so this is the experiment number 5, which is mostly the application of the method study and the time study. So what are the two concepts we have discussed in the chapter number 2 and the chapter number 4? The chapter number 2 is related to the method study, where we are eliminating the unnecessary operations. And the chapter number 4, whatever we have discussed, which is related to the work measurement. In that work measurement, we have studied one techniques which is used for the time measurement, which is called as a time study. That means the method study concept is useful to eliminate the unnecessary operations, and the time study concept is useful to measure the time of each and every operation, or it is also used to eliminate the unnecessary time or the ineffective time. So related to that method study and the time study, we have discussed in the previous experiment where how the method study is useful, and in case of that particular method study, how to generate the chart. It may be operation process chart is there, flow process chart is there, multiple activity chart is there. So the format of that particular chart I have explained in the previous practical. Which types of the symbols we are using for representing the operation, then delay, then transportation, store, inspection. So all that particular operations are represented by the standard symbol, and by using that particular symbol we have to represent the charts. Also, at the left side of that particular symbol, the time is also represented, and at the right side of the same symbol, the activity is represented, whether we are performing drilling operation or whether we are performing fishing operation. Like that, detail is represented at the right side and their time is represented at the left side. But whatever the time we are measuring, whenever I am performing the fishing operation, drilling operation, at that time, whatever the time I am calculating, it is calculated by using the time measuring instrument, and simply we are using the stopwatch. Now the stopwatch is available in your mobile phones also. That stopwatch we are using for the measurement purpose. Now your experiment number 5 is mostly related to the application of method study and the time study. So the name of the experiment is given as a pinboard study experiment. So in this particular experiment, what we are doing, we are performing one experiment in which we are calculating or we are designing one method, and by using that particular method we are measuring the time. So here we are using some of the accessories, that is pin we are using, one pin board is there, so one stopwatch is there. So 2-3 accessories we are using to perform that particular experiment, and from that particular experiment we have to observe that if I am implementing the old method, if I have to perform any task, and we are having the two methods. Method number 1, by using that also I can complete that particular task, I can complete that particular work, and I am having the second method also. In that particular second method, somewhat modifications I have made as compared to the method number 1. So whatever the time is required to complete the same task, by using the second method, it is very less. The time required for the second method is very less as compared to the first method, and that experiment we have to perform. So for that, in order to perform that particular experiment, here I am using one pin board, and there is a important objective. So what is the objective? The objective of this activity is to give the student some practical experience in observing, designing, improving the method of working process. Designing and improving the method of working process. In method number 1, I have observed some of the things which should not be taking place. Whenever I am using the method number 1 to complete that particular task or to complete that particular work, and I got some amount of time to complete that particular work. But afterwards, it has been observed that whatever the time I have calculated, it is very high or it is maximum. So what I have done, I have made somewhat modification in that particular working process, and as compared to the method number 1, I have developed the second method, and whatever the same task is there, whatever the same work is there, I am completing same work, same task by using the method number 2, and whatever the time is required to complete the same task, to complete the same work it is less as compared to the method number 1. So that we are going to study. So here one simple experimentation they have made. Which experimentation they have made? If I have to or if we have to complete any task, so that work can be completed by using the single hand also. Maybe I'm using the left hand, or sometimes I'm using the right hand. Either left or either right. Work can be completed by using the single hand only. But sometimes the same work, same task can be completed by using the both hands. In first method, I am using only single hand to do that particular work. Maybe I am using left hand. At that time, my right hand is totally stationary. Sometimes I am using the right hand. At that time, my left hand is totally stationary. That means if I am performing that particular task, if I am working on that particular task, by using the right hand only, I am doing that particular operations, I am doing that particular activity. And from the start point to the end point, how much amount of time is required, that time I am calculating by using the stopwatch. This is the method number 1. By using the single hand only, I have to complete the task, I have to complete the work, and to complete that task, to complete that particular work, I am using the right hand only. Okay, and for that particular method number 1, I got some amount of time. But afterwards, instead of using the right hand only, if I am using my both hands to complete the same task, that means some amount of work will be completed by the left hand and some amount of work will be completed by the right hand. Let us take an example, 50%. 50% work I am doing by using the left hand, 50% work I am doing using the right hand. At that time, if both hands are utilized to complete the same task, to complete the same work, how much amount of time is required to complete that same task? Whether time is decreases or whether time is increases. Means as compared to the method number 1, modified method I have developed. Which one? Instead of using the single hand, if I am using my both hands to complete that particular work, by somewhat percent, the time required to complete that task will be decreases. Because in the method number 1, I am using the right hand only, and by using the right hand only, I have to complete my 100% work. That means only 100% utilization will be taking place by the right hand. But in the second method, 50% work will be completed by the left hand and 50% work will be completed by the right hand, due to which immediately my work will be completed in less amount of time. And that experiment we have to perform here. So actually, we are having one small experimental setup at our college, but due to some this online lecture conditions, we are unable to take that particular experiment. But I am having some good video based on the pinboard experiments. Once I will explain this particular all the theoretical parts. So I will play that particular video. Only 5 to 10 minutes video is there. Through this particular video, you can easily understand that how this particular pinboard study experiment is used in order to improve the working process. So this particular experiment is very useful in order to improve the working process. So which are the apparatus I am using? I am using the pinboard. Their quantity is also represented. One pinboard I am using. Set of pins. I am using the number of pins. It is of 30 numbers or 30 pins I am using. One stopwatch I am using for the time measurement. One tray, 2 trays I am using in order to keep that particular pins in that particular trays. Okay. So what are the experiments we have to perform? So for that particular experiments, we have to prepare the tables. So this is the table for the old method. So this is the table for the old method. So in that, there are 2 columns are there. So in this particular table, the 2 columns are there. So in the first column, cycle number is there. And in the second column, time to fill the pinboard with the pins. So this is for the old method or the method number 1, where I am completing the task either by the left hand or right hand. Same table is there for the modified method. Same table is there for the modified method. In the modified method, what I am doing? I am using my left hand and right hand for completing the same task. So for that purpose, just I will show you what is meant by the pinboard. So you can see here. So whatever the figure is in front of you. So this is called as a pinboard. So you can see here one wooden plate is there, and in that particular wooden plate, the number of holes are made. So in this particular wooden plate, the number of holes are made. That hole may be having diameter 10 mm, 20 mm, no problem. But this is called as a pin boards. So how many holes are there? For example, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So how many columns are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So total 30 holes are there in this particular board. So why it is called as a pin board? Because one rectangular or one square plate is there. It is made by the wood, or one wooden plate is there, and on that particular wooden plate, I have made 30 holes. I have made 30 holes. Therefore, this is called as a pin board. And which are called as a pins? So you can see at the right side. So these are the wooden pins. You know the construction of the pin. At one side, the sharp edge is there, and at another side, one conical surface is there. You can take the example of our pencil. So whatever the pencil we are using for our drawing purpose. So initially, from the both sides, the pencil is having the same diameter. But by using that particular sharpness, we are removing some materials and we are converting that particular pencil in the sharp edge for the writing purpose. So whatever the conical surface we are preparing to that particular pencil. Similarly, whatever here the number of pins are available. So total 30 pins are available here, and these pins are again made by some wooden material or by using the wooden sticks. So total 30 pins are there. So whatever the in figure, whatever the number of 30 pins are there, these are represented at the right side, and at the left side the pin board is there. So actually, which experiments I have to perform? Which experiments I have to perform here by using this particular pin board experiment? So this is the board, and in that particular board I have to insert this 30 number of pins. So 30 holes are there and the 30 pins are there. So what I have to do by using the method number 1? What is the method number 1? I have to insert that 30 number of pins by using the left hand or right hand. Means only single hand I have to use to insert 30 pins in that particular pin study board or in that particular pin board. So by using the method number 1, what I am doing? Suppose I am using my right hand. Suppose I am using my right hand. Okay. So at my left side the board is there. At my right side the 30 pins are there. So the board is in front of me. It is kept on one table, and number of pins are also present near to that particular board only. So like that, what if this particular figure is there in front of you? So the board is present at the left side and the pins are present at the right side. Both are near to each other. So what is my method number 1? I have to insert the number of 30 number of pins in that particular board. So once I am starting that particular activity, we have to start our stopwatch. So what I am doing? I am taking the pin number 1. I am inserting in one hole. I am taking the second, inserting into the second hole. Again taking third pin, inserting into the third hole. Fourth, fifth, like that. I am inserting 30 pins in the 30 holes. I am inserting the 30 pins in the 30 holes. Once all the pins are inserted in all the 30 holes, I have to stop my stopwatch and I have to measure the time. How much amount of time is required to insert 30 number of pins in that particular pin study board. For example, suppose 50 seconds are required. If I have to insert 30 pins by using right hand only, if I have to insert 30 pins by using the right hand only, suppose the 50 seconds are required. So this is the first experiment. Similarly, repeat the same experiment 4 to 5 times. Once the experiment first cycle is over, again take all the pins from that particular holes. Again you have to use your right hand. Again insert 30 pins in that particular board. Again measure time. Again insert 30 pins in that particular. Again measure time. So 5 times you have to repeat this particular cycle. And in this particular cycle or in this particular method, you have to use only right hand. Okay, and accordingly you have to fill this particular table. So what is that particular table? You can see tabulation for the old method. What is that particular table? Tabulation for the old method. So in that, in the first column, number of cycles are there. How many cycles you have to repeat? 5 cycles. So for each and every cycle you have to measure the time. So second column is written time to fill the pin board with the pins. So for example, for first cycle 50 seconds are required. For second cycle 51 seconds are required. For third cycle again 50 seconds are required. For fourth cycle 49 seconds are required. For fifth cycle again 50 seconds are required. And at the end you have to take their average. So here one simple formula is there. So how many cycles are there? 5 cycles. So 50 plus 49 plus 50 plus 51 plus 49 divided by 5. You will get one average value. And that average value represents the time required to complete the task by using the single hand only. So this is the first experiment, first task we have to perform. Now, what is the second task? Again, I am taking the same board and the same number of pins. But here I have to do the modification. Here I have to do the modification. So what I have to do? I have to insert that particular number of pins by using the left hand and by using the right hand also. That means in the modified process, I am using my left hand and my right hand to insert that particular number of pins in the boards. So what I am doing? I am taking that particular board in front of me. Some pins I have kept at the left side of the board. Some pins I have kept at the right side of the board. At the both sides, at the left side of the board as well as at the right side of the board, I am keeping the number of pins. Okay, why? Because I am using my left hand, I am using my right hand also to insert that particular number of pins. So now what I will do? Once your stopwatch will get stuck, I will take one pin by using the left hand, I will insert in hole. Simultaneously, I am taking one more pin in the right hand also, and by using the right hand also, I am inserting that particular pin in that particular board. That means simultaneously, left hand and right hand is also insert that particular pin in that particular board. In the previous method, only right hand I am utilizing to complete that particular task. But here, left hand is also taking one pin, it is inserted into the board. At the same time, at the same moment, right hand is also taking one more pin and it is inserting in that particular hole. So due to the utilization of both hands to complete the same task, automatically we can say that due to the utilization of both hands, the time required to insert number of pins or 30 number of pins in that particular board is very less. The time required to complete the same task by using the both hands is less as compared to the previous old method. And at the end, if you will stop your stopwatch, suppose if you will get the 35 seconds are required to complete the same task by using the both hands. By the single hand, what is your average time to fill the number of holes by using the pin? 50 seconds are required. But in the modified method, due to the utilization of the left hand and due to the utilization of the right hand simultaneously, only 35 seconds are required to fill number of holes. Means in the modified method, if I have utilized my both hands, the 50 seconds less time is required as compared to the old method. And based on that only, again I have to fill the second table. What is the second page table? The tabulation for the modified method. So again, you have to repeat the same experiment in the 5 cycles. For example, for the cycle number 1, 35 seconds are required. For second, 34 seconds are required. For third, 36 seconds are required. For fourth, again 35. For fifth, again 34. And by using the same formula, you have to take the average. 35 plus 34 plus 36 plus 36 plus 35 divided by 5. You will get one average time. And that average time represents the time required. The time required to complete the same task by using the both hands. And from that particular comparison, you can easily say that if I am improving my working process, that work can be completed in less amount of time. If I am improving my working process, what improvement I have taken? Instead of using the single hand only, I am using my both hands to complete the same work, to complete the same task. Means I have improved my working process, due to which the time required to complete the same task, it is very less, or it is less as compared to the previous old method. And at the end, you have to write down the conclusion like that. Due to the improvement in the working process, the time required to complete the same task by using the modified method is less as compared to the time required to the old method. So like that, you have to perform this particular experiments as a pin study board. Okay, so just I will play one video. So this particular video also you can understand this particular things very easily. Let us see. So you can see here. So this is a pin board in front of you. So whatever I have represented in front of, this is the pin board. Okay. It is made by the wooden plates. So these are the straight holes which is available at the top side. This is from one side. This is the board which is present at the top side, where the holes are made like straight, but at its another side, again the 30 number of holes are present, but somewhat modifications I have made. So one more tap I have inserted. So due to which the diameter is somewhat maximum at the top side. But here at another side, straight holes are there. Here at another side, the straight holes are there, and at its opposite side, somewhat diameter I have increased. And these are the 30 number of pins. So whatever the number of holes are there, according to that number of holes, the number of pins are provided. So what is our requirement? You have to insert that particular 30 number of pins in that particular board. So this is the case number 1. You can read. Pinning the board with the straight holes up by random method using the only one hand. So I have to fill that number of holes by using the pin, by using the one hand only. So now I have to start the experiment. So once the experiment will be started, at the same time we have to use the stopwatch also. So you have to use the stopwatch also. So that a board is in front of me. The pins are near to that particular board only. Once experiment is started, you have to start your stopwatch also. So you have to keep that board and the pins in front of you only. So this is the stopwatch which is available in our mobile phone. Once we have started the stopwatch, you have to start your experiment also. So let us see. I am using only my single hand. Let us see in the experiment. I am using the single hand only to insert the number of pins. My one hand is totally stationary. Only one hand is in working condition. You can see in the video. One by one, I am taking the pin. I am inserting into the hole. So total 30 pins are given to you. You have to insert that particular 30 number of pins in that particular holes. So like that, I am using my single hand only to fill the number of holes by using the pins. And once all the pins are inserted in all the holes, you have to stop your experiment. Simultaneously, you have to stop your stopwatch. So here you can see, I have stopped my stopwatch. How much time is required? 45 seconds. And after that, 91 milliseconds. Maybe extra seconds are required. We can see the 45 seconds are required to fill the number of holes by using the single hand only. 45 seconds are required to fill the 30 number of holes. Here I am using only single hand to fill the number of pins. So this is the older method. Where I am using the single hand. So the same process we have to repeat as per their convenience. You have to repeat that particular process 4 times. I have in the experiment I have represented 5 times. Now this is column wise spinning with two hand simultaneous motions. Column wise spinning. In the previous case, what I have done? At anywhere. Sometimes I'm using first column. Sometimes I'm using the second column. Some pins I'm inserting into the last column. Some pins I'm inserting into the second column. That means proper sequence I am not following. Anytime I'm taking the pin, I'm inserting any holes. So that's why again the time is increases. I am taking the pins, I am inserting any type of hole. So if I am inserting that particular pin in any hole, again your time required to complete that particular task is very increases. Then what is case number 2? Column wise spinning. So you have to first of all you have to fill the number of pins in the first column, then in the second column, then in the third column. And here I am using the both hands. So now let us see. This is the second case. Maybe it is called as a modified method because I am using the both hands. Again see, the board is in front of me. Some pins I have kept at the left side of the board. Some pins I have kept at the right side of the board because I have to use my left hand. I have to use my right hand also. Therefore, I have to take the pins from the left side. I have to take the pin from the right side also. Therefore, the pins are kept at the left side of the board and the right side of the board. Now you can see in the experiments how it is to be started. In the column wise, how the number of pins are to be inserted. In the column wise condition, how the number of pins are to be inserted. Before starting, you have to start your stopwatch also. Yes, you can see column wise. At the left side and the right side, I am using the both hands. The left side hand is inserting the number of pins at left side only, and at the right side, it is inserting in the column wise. Once the first column is over, then I am inserting in the second column at the left side and the right side. Again, second is over, then I am inserting the number of pins in the holes in the third column. In the column wise, in between, I am not inserted in any type of holes. You can see how much time is required. 34 seconds are required. In the previous, what is your total output, total time? 45 seconds, because I am using the single hand and I am inserting that particular number of pins in any holes. I am not using the row wise section. I am not using the column wise section. At any hole, I am inserting that particular number of pins. But in your second case, what I have done? I have used my left hand, I have used my right hand, and I am inserting that particular number of pins in the column wise. Once the first column is over, then second, then third. And how much amount of time is required? Only 34 seconds. That means 10 seconds less time is required as compared to the previous method. What is the reason? First reason is I am using my both hands, and second reason is that I am inserting that number of pins in that particular hole in the column wise section. First column, second column, third column. Like that. Similarly, you have to repeat this particular process 4 to 5 times. You have to repeat the same cycle for the 4 to 5 times. Again, one more case they have developed. What is that? Column wise spinning with two hands, simultaneous motion, center to edge, straight holes up. You can see what modification they have made. In the previous case, I have started the pin inserting from the outside holes. In the previous case number 2, I am using the both hands. Here also I am using the both hands. But in the previous case, I have started pin inserting from the outside holes. In what modification we have to made here, you can see. What modifications they have made here. Instead of inserting from the outside, they are starting from the inside holes. In the column wise only, but they are starting from the inside. You can see. Let us see. They are using the inside hole first. internal column they are finishing first, due to which very less time is required again, because whenever I am starting from the outside, in order to insert the center pin, some large amount of footing is required. But here, due to this particular modified process, case number 3, I am starting from the inside holes. So whenever I am coming to the outsides, there is no any fatigue while inserting the pins, and you can measure the time. Again, 31 seconds are required. In case number 1, single hand, 45 seconds. In case number 2, 34 seconds are required where I am using the both hands. But I am inserting the pins from the outside columns. But in the case number 3, what I have done, I am inserting the number of pins in that particular holes from the inside column. From inside columns, I am coming to the outside column. So again, 4 seconds less time is required in the case number 3. In the case number 2, there is a somewhat fatigue to insert that particular pins in that particular holes. But in the second, in case of a third case, I am starting from the inside columns and I am coming to the outside direction. So less fatigue is required. Therefore, 4 seconds less time is required as compared to the case number 3. So this is the case number 3. Now we'll discuss the case number 4. Again, you have to repeat the same process 4 to 5 times and you have to calculate the average time. Now the case number 4, concept of designing change in working tools. Here I am changing the working tools. Keep the bevel holes. So which holes are called as the bevel holes? You can see the difference now. You can see in this particular, this is called as bevel holes. So what is the difference between the previous holes in the previous board? The straight holes are there. Such types of the sharp edges are not present at the top side. Such types of the sharp edges are not present at the top side. So if such types of the sharp edges are not available, sometimes the pin is not properly inserted in that particular hole. So if the straight hole is available, so in that case, we are facing some problem. Whenever I am inserting that particular pin in that particular hole, sometimes it will create the fatigue or it will not be properly inserted. So to avoid such types of the situations, I have made some modification at the top side of the hole. So what I have done, somewhat diameter I have increases at the top side. So this is called as a bevel holes. The structure is made like a bevel. So this particular holes are called as a bevel holes, and whatever the previous holes are there in front of you, that is called as a straight holes. So due to that particular bevel holes, what happens, whenever I am inserting that particular number of pins in that particular hole, immediately pin can be inserted and your time will get saved. In the previous also, the time will be decreases, but that straight holes creates the problem. The pin is not properly inserted, but due to this particular bevel holes or due to this extra diameter at the top side, immediately pin can be inserted and your time it will get saved. Now you can see how much amount of time will get saved. Again, I am starting from the internal columns, internal holes, because to start the experiment with the internal holes, the 4 seconds less time is required. Therefore, here we can see which process they are following, whether they are coming from the inside to outside or outside to inside. Let us see. Again, here I am using by the both hands. Once they are starting their experiments, they have to start your stopwatch also for the time measurement. Let us see. They have taken that particular pin in the both hands and they are starting their experiment. You can see they are starting from the inside columns. They have started their experiments from the inside columns. Why? Because from inside you have to come to outside and immediately pin can be inserted. If you are starting from outside to inside, there should be one fatigue. But to avoid that particular situation also, they have started from the inner to outer. So inside column first of fill, and then outside columns are filled. And once experiment is over, you have to stop the experiment. Let us see. How much time? 27 seconds are required to complete the same task. Case number 1, by using the one hand. Case number 2, by using the both hands. But I have started, or I have filled that particular holes from outside column to inside column. Then in the case number 3, I have done the same task by using the both hands, but first of all I have filled all the holes from inside and then I came to outside. And now here in the case number 4, what I have done, somewhat modifications I have made in that particular holes. What I have done, at the top side I have increased somewhat diameter, and that particular holes are called as a bevel type of holes. Therefore, whenever I am inserting that particular number of pins in that particular bevel holes, immediately pin can be inserted and some amount of time it will get saved. So how much? Only 27 seconds are required to complete the same task. Why this much amount of time is required? Because I have changed the holes from straight hole to the bevel holes. So like that, you have to do the modification in your working process. Due to that particular modification, you can complete your same work, you can complete your same task in minimum amount of time. So this particular experiment is called as a pinboard study experiment. So you have to repeat the same process again for 4 to 5 times. Again, you have to repeat the same process for the 4 to 5 times. Again, case number 5, keep bevel holes up and place 2 pins both 30 centimeter apart. You have to keep the bevel holes up. You can see we have increased the gap between that particular holes. We have increased the gap between that particular pin board. In the previous cases, 2 boards are near to each other. And here, in the previous cases, what we have to do, you have to take that particular pins from the somewhat areas. Again, you can see the pins are available to that particular boards. You can check how much amount of time is required to complete this particular work. Again, I am starting from inside column and I am coming to the outside column. No fatigue is there. I am using the holes. Which types of holes I am using? Bevel type of holes, having some maximum diameter at the top side. "30 seconds are required. As compared to the previous second, 3 seconds extra time is required. Why? Because I have increased or I have maintained some amount of distance between the board 1, which is present at the left side, and board 2, which is present at the right side. So whatever the modifications we are doing in that particular setup, in that particular apparatus, according to that particular modifications, according to the utilization of your hands, the time variation will be taking place. After conducting this so many experiments, so total 5 cases we have discussed over here. Through this particular 5 cases, it has been observed that the case number 4, it is very effective, because for the case number 1, 45 seconds are required. For case number 2, 34 seconds are required. For case number 3, 31 seconds are required. For case number 4, 27 seconds are required. And this is the case number 5, for which 30 seconds are required. That means after comparison of all the 5 cases, it has been observed that the case number 5 is very effective, because the time required to complete the same task by using the case number 4 is very, very less. That means I have done somewhat modification in my working process, and after performing this number of experiments, after performing this particular number of experiments, the final experiment you have to choose through which you can complete that particular task in the minimum amount of time. If your task will be completed in less time, automatically your production cost will get decreases and your productivity will get increases. So this is related to the pin board study experiments. So simple experimentation is there. That is, one board I am using, number of pins I am using, Again, you have to repeat the case number 5 once again. You have to take the average at the end. At the end, you have to compare all the cases, and out of that number of cases, you have to choose the final method, or you have to choose the final process through which I have to implement that particular process for my further work. So this particular experiment is called as a pinboard study experiment. And why it is called as a combination of the method study and the time study? Here I am doing the modification in the working process. And what is the definition of method study? To eliminate the unnecessary operations. So whatever the unnecessary operations are there in this particular method, I have eliminated. And what is the use of the time study? I am using the stopwatch. Once I have started my work, I have started my stopwatch. Once I have stopped my work, or I have completed my work, at the same time I have stopped my stopwatch, and through this I have calculated the time required to complete that particular task. And at the end, by comparing all the types of working processes, it has been observed that the case number 4 is very effective because only 27 seconds are required to complete the same work. By using the both hands also. So through this particular experiment, you have to observe that how the utilization of both hands also plays very important role to complete that particular work. So like that, this is related to the pinboard study experiment, where I am improving my working process, and through this particular working process, I can save the amount of time is required to complete that particular task. So this is related to the pinboard study experiment, and based on that only, we have to fill this particular table 1, which is for the older method. Then this is for the modified method. Now in this particular experiment, they have given only 2 tables. One is for older method and one is for the modified method. But whatever the things I have explained for this particular video, in that total 5 cases, 5 experiments they have taken, means they have to prepare total 5 tables, and out of that particular 5 readings, or out of that particular 5 tables, you have to take the final conclusion that case number 4 is very effective. But here in this particular experiment, what is given in your syllabus, that is tabulation for the old method and tabulation for the modified method. So here, as per their requirement, you have to perform only 2 experiments. The first method, which is called as the old method, where I am using the single hand only, and you got the time. You have to write down all the readings in this particular table. And in the second table, you are utilizing your both hands. Again, you have to calculate the time, and at the end, you have to find out the final conclusion, that is which method is effective, whether modified method is effective or the old method is effective. And it has been observed that after doing the modification in the experimental setup, and after utilizing my both hands to complete the task, the amount of time is required to complete the same work, to complete the same task, is less as compared to the old method. So this is your final conclusion. And at the end, you have to prepare the report. So what are the tables we have prepared? The tables you have to fill. You have to repeat the cycles number of times. You have to take the average, and at the end, you have to write down the conclusion. That is, modified method is very useful. Or by taking the reference of that particular video, case number 4 is very useful, or it is very effective to complete that particular task. So like that, you will get your objective. So this is called as a pinboard study experiment. So why it is called as a pinboard? Now you understood the things. I am using one pinboard, and I am using the number of pins to perform that particular task, and accordingly we have calculated the time. Okay, so this is related to your experiment number 5, related to the pinboard study experiment. Okay, so with this, today we will stop here.